Welcome to Bothering the Band. My name is Ryan Bynek, and with me, as always, the producer of this pod, Miss Abigail Ann Levy. And wow, do we have a badass bonus episode with Chuck Staton. This dude does everything. Not only is he a documentary filmmaker, he's a musician himself. Check out his punk band, Senior Discount. He is also a podcast producer. Check out my favorite podcast, Tuesdays with Stories. And he hosts his own podcast called Fun Bearable with his buddies, who are doing a couple unique shows on June 11th and June 12th. Follow Discount Chuck on Instagram for more details. Ladies and gentlemen, Bothering the Band with Chuck Staton. Hello.
How you doing?
We could be better. This is not the first podcast we've started with an apology, but it is the first with like someone we're looking forward to, and then we flubbed the time, so we do apologize.
That's all right. It happens, right?
So sorry.
It's all right.
Well, also with a professional podcasting producer too, so we're looking bad, but nowhere else but to go up.
Yeah,
How are you?
all good. It happens. It happens.
Well, I'm personally so stoked to have you here. Big fan of your podcasting work across the board.
Thanks.
And so surprised and stoked that you find out you're a musician and a damn good one at that.
Oh, thank you very much. I love it. I love. I miss playing out. We haven't played out in a little bit, but yeah, I love it.
Oh, that's very cool. So I have to ask, just knowing your voice and knowing kind of your story, where the hell are you based?
Okay, so the deal is basically that I have a house in Rhode Island, which is where I grew up and where a lot of my creative projects started, like Senior Discount, my band, and my podcast, Fun Bearable. And I got an apartment in New York in Staten Island, and I got it right between Manhattan and Hazlitt, New Jersey. And those are the people I worked for there. So Manhattan is Tuesdays with Stories. And the comedy scene in general, because I also work with Mike Birbiglia and David Tell and stuff like that. And then Hazlitt, New Jersey is the podcast Tell 'em Steve Dave, which is the guys from Comic Book Men and Practical Jokers and stuff like that. So I got an apartment there, so I live kind of between both places.
It's crazy. Again, listening, and I'm like, is he in Rhode Island? Is he in the city?
I know.
Who the hell is this guy? Is he commuting?
So here's what's funny is my job is essentially I'm a filmmaker, and a lot of that is based on freelance gig work where you're going to film stuff and turn around projects. But the editing aspect of it can kind of be done anywhere. You don't need to be somewhere specific for it. So I have an editing bay in Rhode Island and I have an editing bay in New York. So like right now, because Mark Normand is in Australia for a month, we're not filming Tuesdays with Stories for a month, which this is the longest break we've ever had. We had to work really hard to get ahead for all the Patreon and free episodes. But because of that, I don't have a reason to be in New York right now. And I came back because I have a Memorial Day party in Rhode Island with a bunch of my friends and family. And so I came back for that. And also because I'm working on this live show next week, my buddy Brad, who I write these shows with and perform with, these comedy shows, he's here. So we're writing in person right now. I mean, we do write, via Zoom or on the phone or whatever a lot, but I also, it's easier to write in person. It's faster. So I came home to do the party, to write with him and to hang out with people and stuff like that. But I have a meeting next Wednesday in Manhattan with a production company. So I have to be back. But basically it's based around what I have for work. I also do a lot of moderating for cons, for comic conventions and pop culture conventions. So in a couple of weeks, I'll have to come back to Massachusetts to moderate for a weekend. And so it really just depends on where the work is. It's nice to have, two homes, I guess.
Oh, well, that was a brag.
I'm just saying, I don't know. It's weird. I know it's very strange. But what happens is Rhode Island is where I'm from, and it's a lot of my creative stuff was based here, but then my real work is in New York, so I kind of have to be there most of the time.
Do you ever see yourself picking one or the other?
Yeah, I think eventually I'll probably have to pick one or the other. It'll probably be. It's weird though, because like the more successful people are, they tend to have places in
Mhm.
multiple places. So I'm almost like doing it backwards. I'm a poor failure with 2 homes. You know what I mean?
I'm doing that right now too.
Oh yeah, there you
See, there
go.
you go. See, exactly. So I imagine. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. The truth is, the boring truth is, I bought this house for really cheap, and then we had a crazy house fire. And it was kind of more of a starter home when I bought it because it was 120 years old and needed a lot of work to modernize it. But then, a fire destroyed it. So my insurance company built it, and now it's a brand new house. So it's like I shouldn't really sell it. I should keep it as like a rental property for later in my life. So, you know, I think the wrong thing to do would be to sell the house. I think the right thing to do is to keep it. So even I think if I do end up living in New York like full time and really never come back, I'll probably rent out this house and still own it, I would think.
Again, just dropping like subtle, cool brags.
No, not
Rental. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. I was gonna say, as a New Yorker, why the fuck Staten Island? Like, what the fuck?
okay. So here's why. Because
And I like Staten Island, but if I was like, I would never leave ever.
so this is the issue. So when I was moving, so basically I had a big breakup in October of 2021. And I was like, you know what? I've wanted to move to New York for years. One of the reasons I didn't move to New York was that my ex-girlfriend didn't want to go. And when I was going through this big breakup, it was like after a 7-year relationship. So I was like, I should throw my attention at something and I should really like try to take my mind off this and focus on something that's like a step in a positive direction in a different part of my life, in the work part of my life. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to New York. Like I said, I film in Manhattan and I film in Hazlet, New Jersey. And I kind of just looked at the map. I don't know anything about New York or New Jersey. You know what I mean? And I just looked at the map and I made a list of all the places that were in between those two. And then I just started going out and looking at apartments everywhere and also trying to negotiate, like, how much can I afford?
Yeah.
And I found this super nice apartment in Staten Island with 2 bedrooms, this monstrous living room, in like a really upscale neighborhood that was
What
cheaper.
neighborhood?
It's in Arden Heights, but it's like right near Woodrow.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Arden Heights is really, really small. So I don't know if it's technically Annandale. It's pretty south. So it takes me about 40 minutes to drive to like Times Square, and it takes me about 25 minutes to drive to Hazlet, New Jersey. So
Yeah,
it was
you're
just
closer
that.
to Jersey.
I'm way closer to Jersey. And also the first person that was helping me was Casey Jost, who is he's a guy, he's a writer on Impractical Jokers.
Yeah.
And he's like, you should move to Staten Island. And that's one of the reasons that it was in my head in the first place. And I'm hoping to end up working more with the Impractical Jokers guys. And they're on Staten Island too. Like the one that I'm close to is Quinn, and he's on Staten Island as well, still right now. Are we in the show yet? Or
We're in the show.
We're in the show. Wow. Okay. I got to, because I'm not being funny. I'm just giving facts. I got to be funnier. I thought I was giving you a little backstory, but we're in the show.
We're in the show.
We're in the show. Okay.
Welcome to Bothering the Band. Is
Yes.
the girlfriend you just referenced the girl that you posted today about the Ninja Turtles?
No. The girl I posted today is Lindsay, and she's super sweet. She's super funny. She's great. I love Lindsay. I still see her once in a while. Yeah,
that's funny. That was a funny post. She's a big listener. So,
oh, is she?
Yeah, she loves Bothering the Band.
She might be. You never know. You don't know.
Something. Fuck it. Let's get to some dumb questions. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta get my jokes out. People are listening. They're like, this guy stinks. He's a robot. He's serious. I thought I was filling in the backstory. Holy hell.
No. We like to start like that. Get a little, introductory, like pseudo Miyagi introduction, and then we dive into the
sure.
really dumb questions.
Yeah.
And we'll jump to a little series here. So rapid fire: Jason Statham or Chuck Norris?
Jason Statham. I can't really do it right now. I can do it sometimes. I think. Chuck Norris is more of like.
Abby's laughing.
Chuck Norris is more. It's almost like you respect Chuck Norris But I almost
Yeah.
picture him like getting out of a van in a walker these days,
Yeah,
right?
he's old as shit, right?
You know what I mean? Like it's more of like the legend. That's like Clint Eastwood cool. Clint Eastwood is cool, but what are we talking about? You know what I mean? He's an old man 20 years ago. So Jason Statham is still fucking right next to Vin Diesel, kicking ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He rules.
Well, Abby is a big Fast Furious fan. Triple
Yeah,
F.
so am I. I love it. Are you? Are you a Fast and Furious fan?
I appreciate it. I don't hate on it whatsoever, but I'm so far like it's impossible for me to catch up. I saw a couple of them. I don't know which is which, but if like right now you guys were like, "Hey, want to go see that movie?" I'd be like, "Of course, 100%."
This is the issue. And Abby, I wanna see if you share the same sentiment that I do. Okay.
hmm
The first couple Fast and Furious movies, they're fine. They're like mid-level, lower budget kind of action stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s. But then with Fast 5, they were like, hey, what if we rival the biggest budget movies of all time and make historic action sequences as part of our, idea for the film series?
That is 100% accurate.
What if
Yeah.
we make them superheroes?
Yes.
That is what happened.
The safe chase at the end of Fast 5 is one of the best action set pieces in any film.
That's where they're pulling it,
So
right?
yes. Have you seen
So-
Fast 10 yet?
So
course.
many civilian casualties.
Oh my
Just
God.
The streets would be lined with dead bodies.
But
Oh my.
the part you're missing, Ryan, is that's how Fast 10 opens.
Yes.
That's how they bring in Jason Momoa. It
Yeah.
turns out I'm going to spoil it, so we're going to stop.
Yeah.
But
And in the movie, Vin Diesel's son, who's 10 years old, is responsible for quite a few deaths, I'd say.
he is.
So it's like he's an 8-year-old murderer. I don't know if that was the plan. Is he a good guy? I guess he's a child. Who knows?
That's the spinoff. Is
That's how they keep it going
8-year-old
another 20
murder.
years.
Yeah.
You want to know the truth? It's funny. A lot of people don't know this. There is a show on Netflix that is a Fast and Furious television show for little kids. And it's like made for children. And it's called like Fast and Furious Racers or something like that. And they have a couple seasons out. Did you know that? It's
did not know
completely
that.
true. Absolutely true.
Now I know what I'm doing with my nephew tomorrow, though. You guys start him early.
There's a Jurassic Park show too for little kids.
What?
Yes. I'm not
You're
even
talking,
kidding.
those are like her two favorite films.
They are.
Me too. I love it.
She even likes the William H. Macy one.
Who? There's pterodactyls in that one.
I
Who-
know there are pterodactyls in that one. And Taya Leone, I dig it. I 100%. The first beach scene with the little girl and it doesn't show it. I love it.
Both of those movies are about saving someone's son.
There you go. That's because it's true.
Bring
I
it
mean,
all
I
back.
like
The same
Jurassic-
universe.
Jurassic Park is one of the best movies of all time.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Jurassic Park 2 is
100%.
pretty good. Jurassic Park 3, not a great story, but isn't it fun to see dinosaurs? I wish that was the tagline for the movie.
Isn't it just fine to see some dinosaurs? They should also say you'll love this on TBS in 10 years when it's
Yeah,
on every
yeah.
Sunday.
You're going to put it on. It's going to be 30% of the way through. So we're already at the island. We're good. We're skipping all the bullshit. By the way, it's Fast and Furious Spy Racers on Netflix. Children's TV show, 6 seasons in.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
I would love if they did. Remember a while ago they were going to do Men in Black 21 Jump Street thing?
Yes.
Remember this?
What? I
yeah.
don't.
What? Where were you? Yeah, Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, Will Smith before
The
the
Sony
slap.
leaks. The Sony
Yeah.
leaks. They revealed in the emails that they were
That's
working
right.
on it.
I wish they would do, and we deserve any producer credit here, a Fast and Furious Jurassic Park crossover where they have to weave the cars in between the dinosaurs.
I don't want to break your heart. You are not the producer on this because Universal has already tried to float this idea. Legitimately.
Whoa.
Yes, they tried to bring them together. And because Universal's biggest franchises are Fast and Furious and Jurassic Park, and they tried to see if they could put it together, but I think that they're two different worlds. You know what I mean?
But we went to space.
We
In
go
a
to
car.
space. Well, no, so that's the thing. So Fast and Furious could go to Jurassic Park. I think Jurassic Park couldn't be
Couldn't
that
come.
silly. I tell people, I think Fast and Furious is like, you remember how they were making parody movies for a while?
Yeah.
Now they're like, let's just make a movie that straddles the line between ridiculous action and parody of ridiculous action. I think it's a satire. I'm not even joking. I think that that's what they're like aiming to do.
Man, that's why we were late, is because we were pitching that. We are the producers of that new franchise.
I like that. I like that.
Bring it all back around. This is supposed to be rapid fire. Chuck Berry or Charles Barkley? And this says a lot about you, actually.
Oh my God. I mean, I love that's tough because I gotta go Chuck Berry, I guess. Although I love Charles Barkley, I'm just more of a music guy than a basketball guy. You know, it's more important to me.
Abby, how tough is that question? When I wrote that question, I was like, this is real tough.
It's tough.
Because I'm a basketball fan. Go ahead, Evan.
I would just say it would depend on what time of the day you asked me that, I think.
Morning, Chuck Berry. Night, Charles Barkley.
That's almost racist. I don't like that.
They're both black.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Now who's racist, you bastard?
Your cousin? No, that proves I don't even see color whatsoever,
cousin,
actually. Yeah.
Your white cousin, Marvin Berry.
I will say, in terms of crossover series, on my podcast, we do a lot of different ideas where we basically take a lot of current movie concepts, and sometimes we do a thing called pitch doctors, where we say, if you were in charge of this project coming out, what would you pitch as your take on it? And when Space Jam 2 came out, it was just this big mashup of all pop culture, different things. And so we said, what would you do for a pop culture mashup movie? And I brought a Fast and Furious Back to the Future crossover to the table. And it was called Fast to the Furious. It was called Fast to the Furious Back to the Future. Wait, Fast to the Future, Fast to the Future, Back to the Furious. And it was pretty good. And they went back in time by accident. Vin Diesel went back in time by accident, and he was doing all the Fast and Furious stuff, but on horses. It was a lot of fun. He was feeding him Nas.
There was a DeLorean in Fast 10.
There was there? Oh, there was a new DeLorean. It was a new DeLorean. Not the new one. I remember that. Yes, the Suicide Doors. Yeah.
Oh,
it was fun.
Man. This is fun.
Also owned by Universal, by the way. Back to the Future. So
you're right. You're right. DC or Marvel?
Movies or comics or overall?
I'm not going to help you here.
All right, I'm gonna go Marvel. I'm closer to Marvel. So I like Spider-Man. I mean, I love Batman so much, and I love the Rogues Gallery. I love all that stuff. But Superman is lame. And there's just a million characters in Marvel that I love: Wolverine, Punisher, Venom, Spider-Man. Like, you know, and the movies. I mean, what are we talking about? We have through the past Marvel movies. I mean, I think they made like 28 of them so far. And at least 12 of them are great. You know what I mean? So it's tough. Marvel's killing it. Although I am excited for The Flash.
Yeah, the more I see that trailer, I'm like, all right, I might see this. But isn't it again like 13 hours long?
I don't even know. I don't know how long it is. I hope it is 13 hours long. I just want more. So Michael Keaton as Batman is back, which is incredible.
I know. But they're doing the multiverse thing, which they did in Spider-Man. And
yep. So Ben Affleck's back. And there's a rumor, I don't know if it's true, so if it's a spoiler, I'm not spoiling, it's just a rumor. Like, if Tim Burton was going to continue his series, he wanted Nicolas Cage to come in as Superman. There's a whole documentary about it called Superman Lives.
Kevin Smith talks about it. Yeah.
The rumor is that in this movie, they bring in Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Well, now I have to see. I just got chills.
I know. I don't know if it's true. I hope it is. You know?
Abby's looking it up. Cop Out or Jersey Girl?
Cop Out or Jersey Girl? I guess I'll go Cop Out, right?
Cop Out's fun. Yeah.
We all have to apologize to Bruce Willis now for hating on him for so long.
Because he's got a disease.
That's right. That's how it works.
You're like, oh, yeah.
Sorry about that. Plus Tracy Morgan rules. Sean William Scott rules. You know what I mean?
There's not a day that goes by that I don't quote the very minuscule scene that Tracy Morgan has in Strike Back. And like, where he's like, give me that map, Scott. I love saying that. And no one gets it aside from Abby.
I work with Kevin Smith too, actually.
I know. We got some more questions. Also, I wanted to show you this. I don't know if you can see that over there.
Hell yeah. I love it. I love all those people are super nice. I love those guys.
So I'll say when I was young, nothing hit me in my formative years between like 15 and 20, quite like the View Askew universe. I still have an old hockey jersey. There was this place, we grew up in Orlando, Florida. There was a place called Sci-Fi City, and they had all these like, so just the most, this is right before Marvel, bro, right before Spider-Man. So it was like this little subculture, and they had Kevin Smith. They had all the Omnipress comics. I have all those still. I had that was my world. And I remember, do you remember MTV's Fanatic? That program where you hung. I pitched a VHS copy. I sent it into MTV to meet Kevin Smith.
Wow.
Never heard back. Nothing. In my high school homecoming parade, I had a very tiny sign that said "Go see Dogma" because it was coming out the week after that.
Yeah.
So this is a very special interview for me. So thank you for being here.
Oh, that's awesome. So are you in New York?
I used to live in New York. I'm in Florida.
You're back in Florida. That's cool. Abby, where are you?
Also Florida.
Wow. Okay.
She just moved.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. From where?
Wyoming.
Oh, that's cool. Why not Oming? That's an Animaniacs joke.
Yeah, it is.
But that's funny. Yeah, I mean, if you're ever around New York, New Jersey, go to Kevin Smith's movie theater because he's there like constantly just like watching movies with people.
Smodcastle, yeah, it's
crazy.
on our list. So being living in New York for so long, I had friends from Red Bank. We would go to the store. I can't fit into it anymore, but I have a clerk shirt somewhere.
Nice.
It's a medium. There's no way I can fit in that anymore.
Oh yeah, I'm in Red Bank all the time. I was in Red Bank on Friday night.
Well, cool. So we should be actually, when we're done here, we're going to talk for another like 5 minutes if you can, because we'll talk to you about a couple other things. But anyways, are you a fan of South Park?
Love it. Love Trey Parker, Matt Stone.
Yeah.
Those are like two of my dream guys to work with.
Well, they're big listeners too. They're going to call you in 15 minutes.
Give me a text.
What's the last music you played yourself, or what's the last music you listened to?
Man, I mean, I played acoustic guitar last night late because a lot of times when I'm up late editing or writing or doing whatever, I will just like noodle.
I like that you call it noodling.
Oh, what song was I learning? Yeah, noodling.
Yeah.
What song was I playing? It was too high for me to sing. Shit. I wish I could remember what song it was that I was playing.
It was Papa Don't Preach.
It was Papa Don't Preach. But
you were doing it in a high falsetto.
It was honestly, it was probably Blink-182 just because I just saw them in concert last week on their tour.
Oh, fuck. You guys are at the same show.
Oh, really? You were at the Boston show?
I was.
Really?
Yeah.
Why were you up at the Boston show? There's no Wyoming or Florida or there.
My best friend lives in Portland, Maine.
Wow.
And so I was going to see her for a while.
They had that plan forever, though.
Yeah. I bought tickets for us for her birthday last year.
Oh,
so
that's amazing.
Hung out in Maine for a few days, took the train down, did the city for a few days.
Yeah.
And went to the show.
That's awesome. The show's so good, right?
It was so good. It was so good.
I texted you. I was like, because I saw Chuck, I saw your Instagram, and I was like, you guys are there together.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be able to go. And then like the tickets were just so crazy when I was first trying to get them. And I tweeted about it. And someone that works with Turnstile, like I don't know exactly what he does with them. I think he's a publicist. He reached out to me and he got me on the list. And that's how I ended up at the show.
That's incredible.
I wasn't that cool. I just bought some tickets.
I didn't think I was going to end up being able to go. But like I did see, and this is really interesting, I did see like New Jersey is starting this thing called Adjacent Fest. And Blink-182 was the headliner this weekend on the beach. And it was like, I don't know, maybe 20 bands. And tickets were only $100. And they headlined it for 90 minutes. And I'm like, I don't think anyone knew that this was even a possibility on the East Coast, as opposed to these insanely priced new shows. You know what I mean? The Ticketmaster dynamic pricing thing is in full effect for what? Blink-182, Taylor Swift. It's like ridiculous.
It's insane.
Yeah, it really is. I don't really even get it.
It's bananas.
It really is.
Okay, this is my favorite question. Would you rather a kiss on the lips every hour?
Yes.
Or a lick on your dick every hour?
One lick.
We'll say this. Both of them are whoever you are most attracted to. Just imagine that. I don't want to generalize because
Okay,
of the
Chewbacca.
public.
Yep.
Chewbacca. This gives a little or a kiss on the lips or a lick on.
But only a lick?
Welcome to Bothering the Band.
Only a lick though?
Yeah.
Only a lick. Which begs the thing,
Who would even
become
want
annoying.
that in the first place?
It
Even
would
if you give
become
me one
annoying.
lick, I don't want it. I don't want it. Every hour is even worse.
I would say even a complete blowjob every hour would get old so fast.
Yeah, it would get old hour 3. I think I get 3 in me per day, and then I gotta, I gotta go
Three?
eat some
What are you,
celery.
20 years old?
Man, yeah, you gotta go kiss on the lips especially with Chewbacca in the picture. I mean, it's just I don't even know what his tongue is like. It's too rough. No, I don't want the lick.
No,
I know
he's got a
no
little
lick.
tongue. I think we see
Yeah,
his
he
tongue.
did. I know. No lick, no full blowjob. I want the kiss on the lips every hour, and even that is I'm gonna be annoyed by it because I gotta sleep. I don't want to wake up to do this thing. I gotta get to work. I don't like to be interrupted.
I love that this is just so annoying.
I'm like, please. Oh, I've gotten into fights with girlfriends for sure where they're like, "Hey, I miss you." And they're trying to like bother you when you're working, and you're like elbowing them off and being like, "I have to do this." You know what I mean? So unfortunately, I am a very affectionate lover. I need some time. Every hour is too much.
Well, that's going in the notes.
Thank you.
Affectionate.
I'm trying to look up what song I was playing because I know I looked up the tabs online. I was playing it. I wish I could answer you.
It was Kiss song.
Oh, it was The Sign by Ace of Base.
Okay.
I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs. And it's funny, no one realizes that the album is also called The Sign.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just straight up reggae, but
Mhm.
played on electric instruments. And I was hoping that someday a reggae band would just do the whole album and make it like all full reggae. But all the reggae covers I've found so far, and I'm not going to name any names because I'm going to say something bad. They're just not that good. They're just the covers are not that good. They're just very muddled. They're not professionally done. And I'm still waiting for a real reggae cover of all the big songs from Ace of Base.
I have a controversial topic here, and this is something I've said for years.
Please do.
I prefer on that album the other single. All that she wants is another baby. That's a better song.
I can't. I mean, there's also Don't Turn Around. Don't forget about
turn
that.
around. Yeah, that song bangers, dude.
Ace of Base rules. They have.
That's my second CD.
I mean, me too. I had Ace of Base it was actually a cassette tape that I had, but that whole album is great. And between the singles, I'd say The Sign and All That She Wants are tied, and then Don't Turn Around is a close second, I think.
So good.
Oh, man.
Wicked good. I love it.
I can't write fast enough. When's the last time you sat in the front row of a movie theater? This question comes from this weekend. I took my daughter to see Little Mermaid, the new one, and I fucked up, and I didn't expect it to be that busy because I haven't been in the theater when it's been this busy. Only front row. I was like, "Do you want to do this?" She goes, "Yes." I was like, "All right, fuck it, here we go." Her malleable bones of an 8-year-old were fine, and honestly, the tops of my eyes hurt so much because I would like. When's the last time you looked up for 2 hours?
If I went to the movies and the only option was to sit in the front row, I would leave. And so I have not been in the front row of a movie theater. I don't know if ever.
Ever? Not even when you're like a youth?
I think I would just leave and I would go to a later show or something.
And then what's the last movie you saw in the theater?
Probably Fast X. I'm sure it is. And I'm trying to think. I saw 2 movies recently. Oh, I saw Evil Dead Rise. That was before Fast X, though.
Yeah. Okay.
But Fast X is going to be it.
And hard-hitting journalistic question. Do you own or have you ever owned rollerblades?
No, I've never owned rollerblades, but I did own a skateboard.
Yeah, there you go. That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
If you bring a bottle to a party, a bottle of whiskey, a bottle of whatever, even some dessert, a la Seinfeld, if you bring something to a party, no one touches it, does possession revert back to you or does it stay in the person's home?
I had to bring a gift card or a gift to a Christmas party once, and I put it on the table for like a white elephant or whatever they're called. What are they called? Those present swapping things, like
I think
Yankee swap. I put it on, and I had to leave before they started the Yankee swap. So I slowly walked over to the table and took my gifts back. So I think that answers the question.
It does. What was the gift, and do you still have it?
I honestly, I do still have it. It was a Pizza Hut gift card, and I haven't been to a Pizza Hut since. And this had to be like 10 years ago. I'm not even kidding. I have it for sure.
It's a Pizza Hut gift card?
It's a Pizza Hut gift card. It was a last minute
man.
thing. I forgot about it until the way there. I was passing a Pizza Hut, and I love the stuffed crust. Gives me diarrhea, but I can deal with it.
You're by 6 Pizza Huts in Staten Island right now, dude.
Yeah, right. I don't think there's any Pizza Huts in Staten Island, right?
What are you close to the place? What's the place that does? It's the Italian place that like everyone's birthday they wave their fucking napkins. It's like Patrizio's or something like that.
There is a Patrizio's. I haven't been there. Patrizio's, I think is
Patrizio's is what it's called. That place is gangster. Last time I was in Staten Island, someone took
I haven't
me
gone. I gotta be honest. I haven't gone to a lot of Italian places on Staten Island. I've gone to. I get
Only
sushi
pizza.
a lot. Yeah. No, I get sushi a lot. I do get pizza here and there. I try not to eat carbs, like a douchebag. And but I end up at a lot of different places. Like there's like a place called Violette Cellar that's super nice. It's New American, and I go to a lot of Mexican places, honestly. But I don't end up getting like Italian or pasta, just not because I don't love it, just because I feel so guilty afterwards.
Yeah, I'm in the boat right now. It happened today. I'm the same douchebag with you who I try not to eat carbs as much as I can. I cave, and depending on the when I travel, I'll I sweet treats all day long.
Yep.
But yeah, Abby's heard this rant before. Yeah, no carbs. Can't do carbs.
It sucks. I you get older, you start getting like, oh man, like I'm worried about like my health in 30 years. So you're like, I better start now. And so you try to cut that stuff. It sucks. I walk a lot though. I walked 14 miles in 24 hours recently.
Oh wow. Holy
hell.
I
slept for 11 hours afterwards. Yeah. I walked 7 miles last night.
Wow. Across the Verrazano Bridge and back.
Yeah, no, well, I'm in Rhode Island, so.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I would have though.
Okay. This is a perfect segue. When riding shotgun in your, let's say, a friend's car, do you vocalize the names of businesses you pass?
Not only do I vocalize businesses, but I like to play a game. I like to say, all right, you got to make up a jingle for this place. Quick. And we all have to just make up jingles as we go past. You know what I mean? Like you go past like Cardi's Furniture and you're like, Cardi's Furniture, your chairs are here. You know what I mean? Like something like that. And you just got to do it. Whatever it is, seafood, you got to make it up. That's more fun, I think. It's more creative.
I love that.
Right? That's fun. It's like a driving game. It's funny. Like I used to bring my mom to Boston all the time from Rhode Island. It's like an hour to get this eye thing that she needed to get done, this procedure, like once a week or whatever. And I always work really late. I work until like 3:30 in the morning a lot of the times, like film, like editing and stuff. And I'd have to get up early on the days I brought her. I'd have to get up at like, let's say like 8:30, whatever, go pick her up. And so I'm all groggy. And I'm the type of person that I don't want to hear anyone even speak in the morning. And my mom is the nicest person in the face of the earth. We'd be driving to Boston and she'd go like, oh, Dunkin' Donuts has a new donut. And she's just like reading the billboards, like, oh, Miller's Roast Beef is open. And she's just like mentioning everything she sees. And I'm like, I slowly take out a gun and put it under my chin on the way there. I can't stand being talked to in the morning. So in that case, I don't like the businesses, but if I'm up and alert, we're doing jingles, baby. I might even draw a mascot.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a sign of I don't know how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
38.
Okay. Similar boat. I'm just turned 40.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I knew I was old, when my daughter goes, Daddy, why do you say the names of things we pass? And I was like, because I'm an old fart. Yeah. I didn't even know I was doing it. I was like, look, an Arby's.
I love that. I love it.
And it's places like I would never go either. It's like, look, an optometrist. It's like not even like a place that I'm like, Let's go there. Oh man. Okay. Your mom's a big listener too, so she's gonna cut it out now.
Yeah, she's not gonna be happy.
Fuck. Okay. Uh here we go. How much would you freak out if you came spiders?
Are we talking tarantulas?
No.
Are we talking?
We're talking you're jerking off,
Yes.
you do the deed, you have fun in your body,
I have fun
and
okay.
you look down and a bunch, like, like when if you were a kid, you popped a spider egg and all the babies went like that, and that happened out of your penis.
How much would I freak out? It's kind of exciting because it's like I have a family now,
The spiders are your family.
That's cool. I like the idea of reproducing asexually. That's interesting. I start naming them. This baby Chuck, Chuck Jr., Little Chuck, Big Chuck,
George Foreman.
Yep, George Foreman, Chuck Berry.
Chuck the white Chuck Berry.
Right, white Chuck Berry. Oh, I'd lose my shit. I would again, right away, that little gun, I'm actually using it this time. I'm taking my own life for sure.
So there are some questions. This question, the dick kissing thing, we think of these questions, and then like we're interviewing like a soft-spoken indie musician, female, and we're like, well, we can't do this. We save the fucking weirdest questions for the people we know will appreciate them and are on a similar wavelength as us. So there you go. You're welcome.
Hell yeah. No, I appreciate that.
Like I said, I'm like, this is our guy.
Yes. I'm open for any questions.
Spiders.
I'll come spiders. Chewbacca will lick my dick. It's a lot of fun.
Oh man. Okay. Do you remember in school the thing where you went like this?
Yep.
What did you call it?
I don't know what I called it, but I think what I know it as is the cootie catcher. Right?
It never had a name. Abby and I were talking about this. It never had a name growing up. And the other day I was just like, what did we call this? Because now my daughter is making that.
Yeah, there's another name for it that people use, right? Like a fortune something?
Fortune teller.
Yeah, okay.
Cootie catcher.
I said both of those, and you said I was insane.
But
so then I sent you the Wikipedia.
I can't believe it has a Wikipedia.
That's hilarious. So my band's name is Senior Discount, and we're a punk band. We used to be like very serious and do it all the time. And then when COVID hit, I was doing music stuff and film stuff before that. When COVID hit, I went completely into film, and now that's like my career. And we had an idea that whenever the band needed, like we did a lot of film projects in conjunction with the band to promote our shows and our albums and stuff. And it eventually became like a full like episode length of a television show about the band. And we'd have multiple storylines and different things like that, kind of like the Monkees TV show, but for adults. And one of the storylines we had was that we had one of those cootie catcher things that we had since the beginning of the band that we used to make every decision that the band made.
That's so good.
Isn't that fun?
That's so good.
Next time we're indecisive, Ryan, I'm making one.
Yeah, you don't put yes, no, maybe, all that stuff.
Yes, no, spiders.
Chewbacca.
Okay, would you rather fight one whale-sized Danny DeVito or 20 Danny DeVito-sized whales?
Got to be the whale-sized Danny DeVito, because like the other ones, 20 of anything, you can't, especially if it's as big as almost a person, because Danny DeVito's like 0.7 humans. You know what I mean? Like he's 70% of a person, right? I think that's how tall he is. That's his official height, actually. If you look it up on Wikipedia, it says 70% of a human man. And 20 of that, though, still a lot to fight in battle, right? It's too many. So I would go the one thing, and then I would hide, and it'd be like a Davy and Goliath situation. I get it, a slingshot, and then I win, I think.
I like that you said Davy and Goliath. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay. When washing your hands in your kitchen, either kitchen, because you have two homes, you're like a Rockefeller. If you're washing your hands in the kitchen, do you have a dish towel or are you using paper towels to dry?
Dish towel, I think, for the majority of the time. Unless it's dirty, then I'm going paper towel, but dish towel.
Okay.
I think.
Abby, what are you using?
Normally a dish towel, but I can't find those yet. So right now, paper towels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The
Mm-hmm.
earth is dying. Just speed it
Well,
up.
I forgot to label the box dish towels.
Yep.
Okay. I'm a massive Tuesday. I've been listening to it since the jump. I used to work in comedy in New York. It's a great thing to see people like Mark and Joe and Michelle Wolf and Soder. I worked with Soder. I still text him to this day. A funny inside joke. How did you? There's a couple questions here, but how did you get involved with Mark and Joe?
So what happened was basically, I was working on the Tell 'em Steve Dave Patreon, and the Tell 'em Steve Dave guys are a podcast out of New Jersey, like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's the guys from the TV show Comic Book Men and Quinn from Impractical Jokers, and they started Patreon in like 2018, I believe, and I was kind of involved like immediately, like right from the start. That Patreon started because Comic Book Men was canceled by AMC,
Mm-hmm.
and so they did it to replace the revenue stream, like Indiana Jones with the idol and the bag of sand. And
Same thing.
Yep. And it went really well, like right away. Tell 'em Steve Dave is like a machine. Like Walt Flanagan is the guy who's in charge of it.
You're
He's a
talking to
great guy.
people who know this world. So,
Yeah.
you saying they're from Comic Book Men is almost blasphemy. I'm like, no, they're from Clerks and Mallrats and Chasing.
right.
Like, come on.
Right. And we Walt is in charge of everything, and we were just kind of killing it in terms of consistency and production. And I think that how there's like this new world of self-created content where people get to really harness their audience and they don't have to filter it through a middleman. They really figured out the way to do that and really get people to be committed to paying for that content and supporting them by making really great content and very high quality content. So what happened was I was doing that with them for a few years, and I became a fan of Tuesdays with Stories with Mark and Joe. I didn't know them at all. But when COVID happened, Mark and Joe were consistently saying on Tuesdays, hey, we don't have any income from touring right now because COVID has shut the world down. All we have is our Patreon. Thank you so much for being on the Tuesdays Patreon, blah, blah. But the Tuesdays Patreon at that time was not really very good. It was, the releases were sporadic. It wasn't that often. Most of the time it'd be like a shorter Zoom video between Mark and Joe, and that's it. Occasionally, you had no idea when it was going to happen. So I reached out to Mark. What happened was I think that Joe came on my podcast. He had come to Providence to do the Comedy Connection. And at the time I was doing the Chuck and Brad podcast. That was the name of the podcast. It's the worst podcast name that has ever been uttered.
But that's Fun Bearable, right?
Now it's Fun Bearable.
Now it's
Fun Bearable is my podcast now. And we ended the Chuck and Brad podcast. We merged with our buddy Ray Harrington, another great comic, and now we do Fun Bearable. But Joe had come on the Chuck and Brad podcast. I didn't really stay in contact with him or anything. And but like a couple, like very soon after, when I heard all this stuff on Tuesdays about them saying, oh, all we have is a Patreon, I was like, man, they could be making such great stuff, but they're not really making much at all. So I kind of reached out to them and I was like, hey, like, I think if I came in and I helped you, I think we could make some really great stuff and really get some traction with the Patreon. I'm not a podcast producer at all. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been a director.
Well, now you are.
Well, I still don't even consider myself that. I just kind of had to take up that as part of my job as a filmmaker. So I've always been a filmmaker. I've been a podcaster. I write for a bunch of magazines. And what I wanted to do really was just come in and just do film projects for them for the Tuesdays with Stories Patreon and build it. That's what my pitch was. I said, I want to come in. We can make new shows on the Patreon. We can do documentary projects. And And I think that we can really make some very valuable things, really get it out to the audience of Tuesdays, and we can get more of them to sign up for the Patreon. And so, it's weird because they have people reaching out to them all the time. So you get this thing where it's like, who do we trust? Who's actually gonna, do what they say they're gonna do, B, be reliable and responsible, and C, not be like a weirdo or whatever. In terms of like, at the time they were filming the podcast in Mark's apartment,
Yeah.
So I reached out to Mark, and he's kind of like, yeah, blah, 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 he makes those sounds.
That's pretty good
And
impression.
yeah. And
Not bad.
he was kind of blowing me off a little bit. And I was like, listen, buddy, I know you're blowing me off, but I'm telling you, we can make a lot of money. And finally, I still have the voicemail on my phone. He's like, he called me back one day because I left my number in there. And he's like, hey, Chuck, I don't know what you want to pitch. I'll give you a minute of my time, but I'm not promising anything. Blah, blah, blah. Jizz, anal. And so he called me, and I was like, listen, I'm like, let me come to New York. You don't have to pay me. I'll do a day of shooting with you guys, and we'll turn it into some stuff. Bless you. Double bless you. Even though you silenced it, I knew it was two. But so he's like, I was like, I'll come. And they said, okay. So we shot an episode of Tuesdays in Mark's apartment, and we shot the new intro that is now the intro for the show. And I think we shot something else. I don't remember what it was. But right away, they were really, really happy with the quality of everything that we did. Oh, we did a Must Queef TV with them doing commentary. But my real goal was to do Hot Gay Sets, which is the documentary series that I
love it. That's my favorite. I was gonna get there. That's me and my buddies, we're all comedy geeks. Some of them are comics, and just that evolution. You really, like you said, you kicked it up. Good job, man. I know you got some flack in the beginning. People hate change.
They do.
And I hope it was nothing personal. And some of us were like, no, it's better. It's a better program. So
yeah. Well, so I appreciate that. But what happened was, I kind of came in and started doing a little bit of filming, and they're like, oh, this is pretty good. And I convinced them to let me start filming the documentary stuff. We started putting that out. And within 18 months, we tripled the Patreon income.
Wow. Which
is, really a legitimate change. And they were kind of like, you got to move to New York. You got to move to New York. This was before I was there, obviously. So I did move to New York, and Shelby, who was the old producer, got us a studio. And I got to be honest, I think Mark and Joe never even looked at the studio until we first went to film in there. They're fucking insane. Like, whatever you think, no one knows how crazy it is behind the scenes. But I think Shelby was able to convince them to sign off on this studio sight unseen. They were just like, where is it? Oh, okay, that's close enough to where we have to do things. Let's do it.
Well, that's a comic for you. You have to make it easy for them. If it's easy up front, they'd rather be easy up front and deal with the pain later, like the consistent pain, than the hard pain of looking for a studio that fits up front and then having it easy after that.
Yeah, right. So
that's why I'm not a comic. Sorry.
It's true, but I think you're right. But we got into the studio, and at first Shelby would go film and I'd go film. And the truth is, I never really wanted to film the podcast. I wanted to film all these other shows to build the Patreon. But it became like, well, if we're going to film something, we might as do the regular podcast and then something for Patreon. And Shelby and I were going back and forth. I never even met the guy. And one day he just called up and quit. He just called Mark and Joe. I actually ran to my car to grab something, and I came up, and they're like, you're not going to believe this. I was like, what? And they said, Shelby just called up and quit. And, they've, I don't know. I don't know Shelby. I don't know. I don't really know that. I shouldn't speak on their relationship with Shelby, but he called up and quit. And they were like, can you just handle everything? Can you become the producer of the show? And I was like, I guess so. And so at this point in time, because of how much work I was getting with Tell 'em Steve Dave, Tuesdays with Stories, and eventually, I ended up working with Mike Birbiglia on his podcast. There's a Dave Attell project that we've been working on that hasn't been out in public yet. I'm working with Kevin Smith. I'm working with all these different people. I had already begun to hire people to work for me as like a production company.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, well, if I become the producer of this, maybe I can farm out more of this work to the people that work for me, because I don't want to mix audio. I don't want to do all
Yeah.
this stuff. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll become the producer, um, to kind of facilitate continuing to make these video projects. So that's kind of the quick story of how it came from like me not knowing them at all to me, joining the show and kind of starting to do all these video things and starting to really push the Patreon.
Wow. That's just like, it's like, you know what it's like? It's like you're watching your favorite show and there's 10 seasons. And in season 5, they change the mom and never explain it, or the mom just disappears and dies because the actress dies. And I think that's what, the more assholey fans were like, who's this? Don't change my show. Who's this guy talking?
Well, I realized it's really tough because basically my whole thing is like, I just don't pay attention to it. At first I was like, man, I'd like to try to communicate with people. And some people did communicate with me that were dickheads. And then I was able to kind of turn them a little bit by having a conversation with them. But there's a lot of people who, I know this because I'm the person that deals with everything that comes through Tuesdays. They're just like, no one should be talking on Tuesdays with Stories that isn't Mark or Joe, including Ari Shafir, Dan Soder, Joe DeRosa, Greg Stone. None of those people should be talking. None of them are as funny as Joe and Mark. They're all pieces of shit, including you. And
Oh, God.
I'm like, oh, your opinions are pretty absolute. And we had Ari on the show recently, so I saw a lot more of that. And also, we just did the live episode with Mark, Joe, Shane, Ari, and Sal Volcano.
Yeah.
Comments on YouTube were fucking brutal for everybody. Everybody, people like, I don't know if I'm speaking out of school here, but like the people online, like with comedy, and especially these bigger comics like Mark, Joe, all these people, the comments over the past year have gotten like increasingly shitty and mean, and it's gotten really like off-putting to a lot of these people. But I decided when it became like so shitty and mean, I was like, I just think that I'll just hide the comments or delete them or whatever and ignore them. And like I stopped going to Reddit a long time ago. Like I haven't gone to Reddit in like, I don't know, since I think someone tagged me at some point when all the old, when all the original Tuesdays episodes disappeared from Audio Boom, someone tagged me and was like, did you do this? And I was like, I had nothing to do with it. But I never go to Reddit, and it became like a weird thing where I realized I'm like, oh, like the best metaphor for it is that a lot of podcasts are comfort food for people.
Yeah.
And they don't want to change. It doesn't matter if it's better, if it's worse. If we're in a studio, you're gonna see some piece of shit say you should be back at Mark's apartment. If we film with 3 cameras, you're gonna see some guy say you should be filming with 1 camera. It's honestly
something.
it's like some people could complain about the microphone quality being better than it used to be, and they'll come up with some reason of why that's the superior way to do it. And it is that thing. And I've been around for a long time throughout podcasting with Tell 'em Steve Dave and everything, where the same stuff happened, where it's like, we want 0% change. It doesn't matter if it's better or even just a change we're trying out. We just do not want change. And unfortunately, I think that leads a lot of podcasts to end. I really do. I think it leads people to be sick of the fact that they're so boxed into what they did, that the podcast goes away because of fans who are like that.
Well, can you sing a jingle about it?
I can, yeah.
Podcast viewer listeners.
I'm just saying, I would tread lightly with the hatred if you're listening to this, because there are a lot of podcasts out there that were huge that have ended, and that has been a very much a contributing factor, is the fact that they're not allowed to change at all.
I think what you said about comfort food is spot on. That's the way I feel. However, for every asshole who has the bravado to reach out and say, "Look, find that thing to nitpick about," there's a million of like myself. I would never, other than saying, "I love the pod." That's it. Or reach it like, hey, reaching out to you or trying to get Joe on the pod or something in earnest and in fandom only. but yeah, that's why I get the comfort food, but I don't get the anger, the protecting it turning into anger.
Yeah, there's a lot of
And
people. I mean, there's a lot of people that come at and for us anyway, people will come at Samaril. They'll come and be shitty. They come and say stuff about Ronan, obviously, because Joe is doing the
yeah,
podcast with Ronan. They came at Andrew
that's wild.
Chavone when he was on the show. They were really mean to him. And it's weird because, like, you know, let's say it's true, and Chavone is a Make-A-Wish kid that we just let on to give a little pat in the back. Even if that was true, which I don't think is true. I think Chavone is fucking amazing. He's hilarious and he's a great person. Even if it's true, I can't imagine myself ever being the type of person to comment a shitty thing like that. You know what I mean? It's just it's so foreign
Never.
to me to come at that. But
Never. That is wild. I was gonna say, oh, that's how. So we've had this conversation a couple times where we'll know we've done something right when the comments get mean. Right now, our feedback is all nice because everyone who listens, we don't have the biggest reach, but everyone who listens has found us on purpose. So it's, and I even said to Abigail, I go, the minute we'll know we make it is when someone goes, the host Brian fucking sucks. And I'm like, that's when we made it. I love it. I've, actively.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a funny thing. Like when we're doing the show, if we do a video project that Joe and Mark really like and they talk it up on the show in the beginning, I know that there's gonna be shittier comments about me. Like I don't know, even if I don't say a word or even respond to them, people, if Joe and Mark are saying positive things about me, people will be meaner about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because like I've seen stuff where Joe and Mark are like,
that's bully mentality though. Sorry.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've seen stuff where Joe and Mark are like, blah, blah, they talk about something, I think it was maybe the wedding video. I don't know what it was, but they were like, this is Chuck's magnum opus or something like that. They said something and they were talking about a video. And the person was like, a person commented like, I hate how full of himself Chuck is, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't say a word in this. I didn't say anything. And it's like, I even have kind of mentally made a note that all I say whenever they say like something positive about something I bring to the table, I say, hey, we're a team. We're just a team doing our best. That's it. Like I always try to deflect it to make the hate kind of push down. But
yeah. Well, you're doing a good job, man.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I wish we were doing more documentary projects. Like that's really what I want to do. It's cool that we're in a rhythm and we're doing the bonus shows that we're doing, but I'd really prefer to be doing more video projects. But it's just that Mark and Joe's schedule is really tough. And, Mark has his own Patreon with his own videographer that goes to shows now and stuff. So that's what I wish I was doing, is more of the documentary stuff like Hot Gay Sets. And we did 10 episodes, which I called season 1. And then we did the wedding video, which was almost another Hot Gay Sets. It was like another 20-minute documentary thing behind the scenes of a show. And I did a video with Joe for his YouTube that was very similar. And we did a little bit of it at the Gramercy before the show with Gillis and Volcano. But like, I wish that's what we were doing all the time. I wish we were doing documentary stuff constantly.
Okay, two things. One, are you the one cutting Joe's King of Content shit?
I've cut like, it's all different people all the time. Sometimes I do.
Okay. The other thing I was going to say is I hope you're gathering footage from all these shows you go to, because I do believe we are in a new comedy boom, like a modern comedy boom that we had, 90s, 80s. I think we're in that now. I think podcasts help. It's one of those things I have told people. I was like, oh, and I'm a writer as well. Someone's like, you should chronicle this. And I was like, oh no, I'm too lazy to do that. But someone like yourself, if you capture that footage in 20 years, you can go back and, maybe make something. You're going to have that.
So to me, Hot Gay Sets is supposed to be that. Like my idea was, if I came in 2021, Tuesdays, I think started in 2013 or 14. And the difference between that time and 2021 for Mark and Joe as comics is so vast. They've grown so much and they do so many different things. And they're such more evolved for performers with such a bigger fan base. And I think that they inadvertently created like a diary of their careers with the first 7 or 8 years of Tuesdays with Stories. And my idea with Hot Gay Sets as a documentary series was to continue to chronicle that in a way that's even more as opposed to just they come back and talk about it in an audio format. This is actually filming it as it's happening. And so we put out one of the documentaries I did, and it was Mark Norman Does Netflix, and it was his Netflix half hour. We actually put it out on his YouTube for free as well, like way later. And we got like 250,000 views in like 2 weeks or something like that. And I'm like, oh, this is like when I pitched Hot Gay Sets to them, I was like, this can't just be like a shitty documentary series where we throw up some backstage footage. I'm like, this has to be directed and edited to the point where it could be on Netflix or it could be on YouTube. I mean, on HBO. Like, that's the whole point of this. And I really think exactly what you're talking about, the idea of chronicling these things, is really important, and it would be really great to do that, which is why I wish I was doing it more with Mark and Joe. And the truth is, like, I would love to do it even with other comics and stuff, but it's tough because I am like balancing a lot of film work and a lot of consistent responsibilities with stuff. But I pitched to them that we could do a Hot Gay Sets at least once a month. That way we'd have 12 new ones every year, and it could just keep growing, and we could call each 12 one season. And so that would be a full year. You know, the first 10 are one season. But you know, they're really, really busy. So we haven't really talked about it in public yet, but I am doing a documentary series with Joe that we're going to release right before his new special comes out that I came up with.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's supposed to be called Hour by Hour, because it's going from his last hour to this hour that he just filmed. And I wanted to make it at least 3 episodes leading up to the release of his new special. So that stuff is, a lot of it's been filmed, and we're just kind of waiting for a release date on Joe's new special. And then we're going to kind of continue that. But what you're talking about is exactly what my concept was for Hot Gay Sets, and kind of how I wished it would continue. It's just been tough schedule wise.
Yeah. Sam Morrill did something like that with his like the COVID doc that he did.
Yeah, they asked me to edit that, but I had too much stuff going on. Yeah.
And again, just a comedy nerd and a pop culture nerd. I think, you know, this is something we will look back on the podcast boom as well, and be like, oh man, whoever gets a chance to tell that story is going to have fun with it.
Sure.
And it makes me think of our good friend. There's a couple people, again, after this, I'll tell you who to check out. We've had a few filmmakers on the pod.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I love that as the sun goes down, I'm becoming more ghoulish in this picture.
Are you kidding me? I'm in a Florida garage right now. I'm just drenched in sweat.
Let me turn on my lights in my room. 1 second.
I was loving the lighting.
Now I'm less of a ghostly visage. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a quote now.
Yeah, right. That's so funny. I was just seeing it myself, like becoming whiter and whiter as my back of me became darker and darker.
Man, I need to learn to write faster, like shorthand.
What are you writing down everything for?
Well, one, just for my own. I'm a writer. It's natural. It comes. That's my world. I love taking notes. I love revisiting the notes. I also got this cool Bothering the Band notebook that I got to fill.
That's great.
Yeah, it's just second nature to me, man.
Yeah.
And I used to do this graphic design series where I would record the interviews and then transcribe them, and it was so tough. So now, like big ticket things, I try to write down. You know,
I understand what you mean.
Like Affectionate Lover.
I'm Affectionate Lover. I'll give you so many references. Chewbacca.
Oh man.
2 of the Ewoks, not the main ones.
When is Senior Discount gonna play again?
So the last time we played was November, so it was a while ago. When I moved, it's funny. So, you know, my band started in 2004-ish, and we really were like hitting it hard for a long time and doing music and film projects, like I was saying. And we eventually got signed in 2018 to Paper and Plastic Records by the drummer of Less Than Jake.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And that was, you know, Less Than Jake is one of our hero bands, you know, that we look up to. And that was huge. And I think when that happened, I didn't say it out loud. When that happened, I was kind of like, that's enough. We did it. Like, we basically, like, that's me reaching this benchmark. We played with 1 million bands that I look up to. You know, we've done podcasts with 1 million of those bands. We've played up and down the East Coast. We had a ton of fun shows that, you know, we did a lot of stuff. We recorded 3 albums, and at that point, it's like, we still weren't making money doing it. And, at that point, I think I was 33. So I was like, I need to figure out how to make money creatively, because that's part of my goal, is to have a creative life as my job. And then when COVID hit, even though, the band didn't have a talk or anything like, oh, we're going to wrap it up. But when COVID hit, it became impossible to play out. So it was kind of, it was fruitless to get together to practice. And it was hard to get together to practice anyway, because of COVID. So that's when I made the move to New York, and the band kind of just wound down. I don't know if it's winded or wound. And I'm still, the drummer of my band is my cousin. I see him all the time. He lives a couple of streets away from me. The guitarist of my band was over my house on Monday. The bassist, I don't know where the hell that guy is, that little weasel. But we're all still close. We're all still like, we'd love to do it. So like, we were just talking the other day, actually. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to just get together and play for any big show opportunities that come up. Like if NoFX comes around here for their final tour, I would really, really push for us to get on that show to play with them before they hang it up. But I'd love to play again. And there's actually someone who is a big listener of Tuesdays who's trying to get us to play in New York. And I'm happy to do it. We just got to figure out a situation that makes sense. It sucks because everyone else has like 9 to 5s, So it's not like, one night to go play a show is a big deal. But I think what would be a big deal is that we have really high standards for how we play. So we'd have to like have a practice schedule for a little bit first. We were in practice for 14 years. And so the songs were just like there. And we care about harmonies a lot. We care about sounding good a lot. But now we haven't practiced in a little bit. So it's like, we don't want to go up there and suck. We'd have to really put the time in to get back to where we were.
Okay, favorite punk band.
I mean, NoFX is up there. It's really tough. It depends on what your definition of punk band is. But NoFX is up there. Blink-182 is the reason we became a band. Green Day is the band that got me into punk rock. Rancid, I think, might be the best. Rancid and NoFX, I think, are the two bands that represent punk rock to me the most.
Our generation, yes, definitely.
So exactly. So someone that's 10 years older than us, I'm sure that they have Minor Threat and all these different bands. But to me, the real punk rock bands are NoFX and Rancid. Those are the two sides of it, where Rancid is more on that dirty, jangly ska stuff.
Yeah.
And NoFX is on that fast chugga like harmony stuff. And those are the bands that represent punk rock the most to me, I think. But I also love like Suicide Machines.
Yes,
Crack. There's so many good bands. Less Than Jake is so good.
Love Less Than Jake. You're talking to two Florida people. We love Less Than Jake.
That was my first concert without my parents.
Hell yeah. How about Against Me? Against Me is one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The best.
Man, I want to go to a Warped Tour.
Oh, dude. I
would love to, but old
Warped Tour.
Well, do you guys know about the When We Were Young Fest this year? I got tickets. Do you see the lineup?
No.
This coming year?
Las Vegas.
Yeah, they're doing it again.
They're doing it again, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the lineup is Blink-182, Green Day, Sum 41, Goldfinger, Less Than Jake, Bowling for Soup. It's every band I like is there. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Man, Bayside is probably on that too.
I don't even know. Actually, Bayside might be on it, but
they were on it last year.
Were they?
Yeah.
See, I didn't really. The last year was like more emo. It seemed like.
Yes, that's why.
Yes, exactly. But this year, like I saw it and I was like, this is ridiculous. And I got my buddy Brad to agree. Here, I'm gonna read this to you. You're gonna flip. It's crazy. Ready? Green Day, Blink, 30 Seconds to Mars, The Offspring, Good Charlotte, 5 Seconds of Summer, All Time Low, Something Corporate, Rise Against, Thrice, Yellow Card, Gym Class Heroes, Say Anything, Sum 41, Bowling for Soup, Less Than Jake, MXPX, Save the Day, Reliant K, The Academy Is, Simple Plan, Goldfinger, The Ataris, Plain White Tees, Tiger's Jaw, Newfound Glory, The Front Bottom, Zebrahead. It's crazy. It's insane. Phoenix TX, Lit.
Oh yeah, remember that?
I saw Phoenix TX with Blink-182 and Silverchair in like 2000 at the UCF Arena.
That's amazing. I love that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I got tickets for it just because it was too many bands at once that I was like,
Yeah.
even just the idea of Blink, Green Day, the Ataris, Goldfinger, like it's just such a weird lineup of bands that you're never going to see together. So I was like, I got to go. And so I grabbed tickets to that.
Man, I would like to go to a Warped Tour though.
That is a Warped Tour.
I know it is, but it's also $1 million. It's probably like $500. Warped Tour was $45.
Yeah, the tickets for this were $340.
All right, not
which is pretty good for this many bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hopefully you don't get the wind. Remember last year?
The wind canceled one of the dates last year, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Hopefully, Abby was trying to do because I'm sure you can do this too, dude. Is we get press passes for a lot of shows. You got to time it right, and we're not a big entity. And I tried my best to get her press passes, and it just everyone was trying to do. But yeah, there's any small bands that come to Florida, I can usually get us in.
Hell yeah. We've done that a lot. We got into Punk and Drublic with press passes. We got into Warped Tour with press passes. Like we do that a lot too. So basically it's like we got the ticket. I'm just gonna say this in public. We got the tickets and then we're like, oh, we hope we can get press passes and then sell the tickets. You know what I mean? It's like, you never know. But
I think you check off all, what's the word? Check off for your boxes, cross your bases. I don't know.
Yeah, cross your T's. It's funny too. I'm friends with the bassist of 30 Seconds to Mars. Like he was in a band called Monty R.I. They originally were called Monty's Fan Club, and that was the band around Rhode Island that made me and my friends really believe that we could have a band. We didn't even know it was possible to have a band when we were 15 or 17 or whatever. And Monty's Fan Club showed us that we could. They got signed to Island Def Jam and changed their name to Monty R.I. And then Steve, the lead singer, went on to become the bassist of 30 Seconds to Mars. So I'm like, oh, this show is 2 days. I'm hoping maybe he can get me into the other day. You know what I mean? Like I'll go on the Saturday and be like, hey, Steve, put me on the list for Sunday, please. You know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
I like that we're wrapping up on a music question. And so I will say this, we're planning on doing we did a live show in New York last year. We're going to plan on doing another one later this year.
Yeah.
And no pressure. One, we'll as we plan it, we'll reach back out. Maybe you can come on as a guest.
Sure.
But if Senior Discount wants to, we always have the bands play after the podcast part. And so if Senior Discount wanted to play,
that's
full
amazing.
Transparency, we can't pay you, but but we can give you a stage and we can rock the fuck out in the audience.
Hell yeah, I love that, dude. That's great. So you've done it before, where you did this whole setup?
Yeah, we did. We've done a few live shows. We did New York, LA. We just did Nashville. We did Orlando.
Wow.
And we've gotten good guests. David Cross was on our New York show, and
that's amazing.
Nick from Bayside was on our LA show, amongst some other people. And yeah, dude,
that's awesome. No, I love that. I'd love to get involved, man. Hit me up. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. That's very, very fun.
Yeah, man. Well, okay. We wrap up every episode with a couple questions. One, we know you're following us on Instagram. We always ask that question, especially certain people, because it's a way for us to shoehorn in our self-promotion.
Right.
Everyone follow Discount Chuck on everything, right?
Yeah, Discount Chuck on Twitter and Instagram. Yep.
Yeah. Everyone follow Chuck and be nice. He's working real hard.
Yeah.
For your fucking comfort food, you bastards. What song of yours do you want us to end this episode with?
Wow. Well, it's funny because I think that my favorite two songs that Senior Discount has recorded are Afterlife and Cindy. And Cindy is really way more like bubblegum pop punk, like the Blink-182 singles. And Afterlife is a lot closer to a band like Alkaline Trio, which is a lot, you know what I mean? And so I'm going to go with Afterlife. I think that's going to be more of the musician's pick. You know what I mean? I'm very happy with the harmonies in that, really happy with the guitar leads I do in that and stuff. So I think Afterlife is the way to go.
Well, that one's the one where Abby sent that to me because of course we're like, yes, get Chuck on the pod. And she sent it to me. I was like, fucking Chuck rips, dude.
I thank you very much.
Good for you, man.
Dude, I mean, first of all, I do not rip at all. I'm adequate at playing power chords. But we spent so much time on the last songs we ever recorded, which include Afterlife. And I was so dedicated to figuring out harmonies and guitar leads and really coming up with interesting guitar leads that build. Tom DeLonge from Blink kind of did this interview one time where he was like, he's like, I don't really relate to guitar solos, but I love melody and I love the feeling of melody and the passion of it. So there's a big musical breakdown in Afterlife. And I was like, oh, this guitar lead stuff has to be really, it has to really carry a melody and bring it to a new place with that. And so it's not, any shredding or anything like that, but I am really proud of that. And it's very difficult to do live. It's just extremely fast. And whenever we start, and also it's like, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot, because the song is difficult to play live, and we would practice it and I'd be like, okay, I just did that at a D+ level. Like the next time, let's do it at C-. Let's keep practicing until I get it up there,
Oh man, we better bring it for our live show.
I will. That's the thing. We can't phone it in. It's not in our blood.
So we run a music podcast, but we are fans first. And so sometimes very technical guests will start talking to us about, stuff. And we're like, when do we tell them we have no idea what they're talking about?
Dude,
we just like their music. Their music hit us when we were 13.
Yeah, exactly. No, I hear you.
Okay. Something else we ask, if you could interview one musician, live or dead, anyone in the universe, who would you choose? And what would you ask them in the vein of bothering the band? So something very stupid.
Well, so one of the things I think about a lot, and I wonder if you guys feel the same way, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. A lot of times, behind the scenes, what happens is bands will tour, like bigger bands, whatever, and then they'll go for a period of time where they don't tour, like 6 months. And the truth is, I think a lot of bands will be like, well, the drummer wants to go spend time with his family, the bassist wants to go do this, and everyone kind of has different priorities and different wants and needs. And a lot of times, I think some of the bands would actually prefer to continue to tour during that time and just tour most of the time. And I always wonder why people in bands like Blink-182 or Green Day or people that are huge, why don't the people from those bands do like touring in between of even like live Q&A stuff, or maybe small acoustic sets with a Q&A? And one of the people I'd love to hear talk about music the most is Mark Hoppus from Blink-182, because their songs really come from such a place of simplicity, but they were able to reach so many people. And a lot of people like shit on Blink-182 and Green Day just because they're so big. But I always want to tell those people like, hey, buddy, like, fuck off. Like, this band was guys that met and started practicing in a garage and fucking touring their asses off in a little van. Like, you can say fuck you because each one of them has a tour bus now, but you can't say that they didn't do it like right because they cared about the art they were making. That's what happened.
Wow. Second time of the pod, I have chills. Wow.
I really think about that. And I mean, I have a lot of stuff in my heart about lyrics. And Chris from Less Than Jake, Chris DeMakes, does a podcast that's excellent, where he actually goes through individual songs with bands and talks about specific lyrics and why they were written. I would love to hear Mark Hoppus tell me about specific lyrics, specific songs, and why things happened a certain way. Like, there's a song from Blink-182 called Reckless Abandon, right? And it's a great song that represents basically like your senior year in high school or a crazy summer. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's like the chorus is on and on, reckless abandon, something's wrong, this is going to shock them, nothing to hold on to, we'll use this song to lead you on and break the truth with more bad news, we left a scar size extra large. But the whole song is super happy, the whole song is all, all these different things. And I'm like, but there's so much sadness and pain in that chorus. And it's about how like this is kind of, is it not worth it to live this way? Or why does it leave a scar? And I want to know those questions that other people are just like, yeah, I'm listening to the song, it's great. I'm like, why did he write that? Why did he say that? Like, that doesn't need to be part of this song. So I want to find out stuff about that. And if I was going to ask a silly question to Mark, because let's see, if I was going to ask a silly question to Mark, I don't even know. I don't have a lot of that stuff. I don't know a lot of these. I mean, you came up with do I want my dick licked every hour? What if there were spiders coming out of my dick? I would combine them. I would say, would you want a spider to lick your dick every hour, or would you want Danny DeVito to give you a kiss every hour? That's what I'd say. I just plagiarized from you guys, and I combined the three questions into that.
That's good. It's fucking perfect. I'm gonna go with a Danny. I don't care what the second option is. Danny DeVito kiss every hour would be amazing.
You're gonna bend over for it though. So if you have a back problem, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel
just
it
a little smooch, a little DeVito smooch. I love.
Yeah, a DeVito smooch.
That's the name
my
of your
favorite drink,
next.
by the way. That's my drink of choice.
I was gonna say that's the name of the next senior discount album.
DeVito smooch.
Oh man! And then Anthony DeVito's gonna get mad at you.
I was gonna say that's his next hour is DeVito smooch.
DeVito smooch.
I would like to say before we go, the reason I'm trying to go on more podcasts right now is because I have a podcast called Fun Bearable, and we're it's a lot of fun. It's myself, who I'm mainly a filmmaker, Ray Harrington, who's a comic, and Brad Rohr, who's an improv guy, and we do these really weird live shows. And we're doing a live show coming up in Rhode Island on Sunday, June 11th, and then at Grove 34 in Astoria in Queens on Monday, June 12th. And the show is Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Bradley Drawn, where my buddy Brad draws every scene from the movie in his dog shit, terrible way. And I write a new narration of the movie based on what the drawings look like to me.
In real time?
I wrote it ahead of time. I present it to him on stage and his drawings are up on the screen and he has to go through my new narration as we go through the movie.
So I'm happy you brought that up because I was going to ask you the logistics of how the drawing thing fucking works.
So what we do is he watches the movie, he draws every scene that's like important, and then I look at all the drawings and I come up with a script that he has to read as himself. So he's talking about his own drawings from his own perspective. And we've done tons of these. We did Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Avengers, Dark Knight. We've done tons of them. And we do them at comedy clubs. We'll headline a comedy club with this bit and it'll tear the house down. Because bad drawings are so fun to see and everyone can kind of relate to it. So there's this like, and I think the other thing is like, so if the T-Rex is going to show up in Jurassic Park and he says next, and it shows his terrible drawing of this T-Rex, everyone knows what to expect, but then they see the actual drawing and it bowls them over with how awful it is. And then he makes fun of it on top of it because I wrote this thing that he has to say. And the bit just kills and it's going to be so much fun. I'm so psyched we're doing Indiana Jones. But I'm really looking forward to it.
So say the dates one more time for the people.
Yeah. So it's going to be June 11th. It's a Sunday in Rhode Island at the Comedy Connection. And that's going to be with Ray Harrington from our podcast doing stand-up, and Brian Bowden and Liz Mona is doing stand-up to open the show. And then on Monday, June 12th in Astoria, Queens, we're doing it at Grove 34. And the stand-ups on that show are going to be Andrew Chavone and Matt Wayne, who are two awesome guys that have been involved with Tuesdays. And they're actually both going to be on my podcast this week, Fun Bearable. We're doing an Andrew Chavone episode on Sunday, and then we're doing a Matt Wayne episode on Wednesday.
Dude, you're crushing it, man. I'm fucking bummed. See, this is why every time I'm going to go through this moment of depression after this, because being stuck in Florida, I miss out on these fun, very unique, niche, creative as fuck things that I'm like, man, devils. And I can't wait to go back to New York, even if it's 10 years, 20 years down the road. Yeah, dude, you're crushing it, man. This has been so much fun. There was something else I was going to say, but I'm like losing steam. And yeah, DeVito Smooches is fun. What besides this show, the upcoming shows, what else you working on? Anything else you want to promote?
Yeah, I mean, I basically do a project with Tell 'em Steve Dave like every other week. We come out with a project on Patreon, and that stuff is a lot of really, really in-depth video stuff. We just did an episode. We do a show where Walt and Sunday Jeff, this guy on the show, watch old Toho movies, and we actually had to recreate a King Ghidorah on green screen with a guy in a physical costume, and I duplicated his head, and he was all three heads, and he actually has conversations and stuff. So we do a lot of really weird. I'll send you a direct link after this so you can check it out. It's really fun. But Tell 'em Steve Dave, great podcast. I'm also on there. I host shows on their Patreon as well. Great guys. Quinn from Practical Jokers, obviously Walt Flanagan, Brian Johnson, all those guys.
Is that under Smodcast?
Not anymore. That they kind of split up a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay.
But I work on that all the time. Fun Bearable is my podcast. We do a new episode every Wednesday. We have a lot of comics on. Mark Norman's been on. Joe List has been on. Ronan Hirschberg, Kevin Ryan from Are You Garbage has been on. Andrew Chavone and Matt Wayne are coming up this week. We just did an episode with Mike Cannon that's coming out soon. We do a lot of fun stuff with that, and a lot of our shows and alternative events are kind of captured. Like we just did an event at Kevin Smith's movie theater. It's Modcastle with Brian O'Halloran from Clerks, and we did Clerks Bradley drawn live with him playing Dante live.
It's incredible, dude.
And there's footage of it. Yeah, there's footage of it on the Fun Bearable YouTube channel at the end of the episode. We go through it. So Fun Bearable is really fun. We do that every week. And then obviously Tuesdays with Stories is every week. And we come up with a Patreon project every Friday. Some of that stuff is documentary. A lot of it is podcasts, like different versions of it. And as of right now, that's everything. The Joe List documentary stuff is going to come out pretty soon. I don't know what's happening with this David Tell project. I'm probably not supposed to be talking about it. Yeah, there's actually some really fun stuff in the works for next week for this meeting I'm having, and I hope that everything works out with that. But yeah, for right now, I'd say Tuesdays with Stories, Tell 'em Steve Dave, Fun Bearable. Follow me at Discount Chuck, and you'll see constant updates about all that stuff.
Yes, lots of cool stuff. Discount Chuck. Two things. One, this is going to be so fucking hard to write this description of this episode.
I know. I'm such a pain in the ass.
And just also like saying like who you are, like, you know, just playing it dumb. We try to keep them short. There's no way you do too much shit.
It's tough.
You know what we're going to do? We'll do the opposite. We'll say this guy doesn't do shit.
Well, Natasha Leggero has the best joke for someone that like does like a lot of things. When she was doing the James Franco roast, she's like acting, directing, producing, photography. James, is there anything you can do? And that's what I like to think of myself when I'm directing and doing all this stuff. It's fun stuff.
That's so good. And then the last thing I'll say is just hearing your voice in my car for the last year or however long it's been. And it's been an honor getting to know this side of you. So,
oh, dude, I appreciate that so much. You guys are awesome. I really super hospitable, super easy to talk to. I love it.
Super late.
No, it's cool. It's totally cool. It's totally cool. And like, it's funny too, because I was like 2 minutes late. I logged into the meeting at 6:02, and I was like, were they like, fuck this piece of shit, we're out of here? And you bounced, and I was like, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm late. Maybe I was the one. You know what I mean? I didn't know. So it's totally cool.
I wish I would have known that. Like, yeah, we were there, bro.
Yeah, we were there. Jesus, we waited 120 seconds for your ass, and you didn't show up. So,
oh man. Well, thank you for your patience and all these fucking great stories. Regardless of live show shit, we'll have you back because I feel like,
oh, dude,
we could keep going. Just
have me on anytime. Hit me up and we'll make a plan, and I'll come on anytime. Even if you're like, oh, do you have any stories about this? Have any stories about this? You know, Senior Discount toured for 15 years straight. So fucking I'm an overflowing cauldron of stories from filmmaking and music, you know?
Yeah. I gotta say this one other thing. Why both of you, because I don't think I've asked Abby this either. Why in Jurassic Park do the fucking kids turn on the light in the fucking car? That part.
Because they don't know yet.
They're just like, what are we doing? It's coming for us.
Well, they're kind of like, I think when they turn the flashlight on, they're trying to be like, hey, we need help. And they're trying to signal to the other car because the lawyer had left, you know, I think. But when he turns it on, Lex does say, like, turn it off, you know?
Man,
I know.
This is, you guys both explain this so well to someone who with a child. I should. Chuck, dude, can't thank you enough. This has been a fucking dream come true and such an honor.
Anytime. You guys have been awesome. I really appreciate you having me on. Cool.
Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Bothering the Band with Chuck Staton, who does too many things for me to list. I can't wait to write this fucking thing. It's been a fucking awesome episode. Thank you.
Hell yeah. It was great. Thank you guys very much.